Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
That guy is finished. Chen Kuo's rock power has reached SS level, which is harder than metal. And the third ability he awakened is the rock body, which can blend with all rocks. Most people can't attack him. A spirit master actually dares to challenge him. I can only say that boy is too arrogant. Coming, Chen Kuo's rock body. There was a huge exclamation in the crowd, interrupting Evrion's discussion. On the central stage, huge rock pillars covered almost the entire platform, surrounding Lin You. Then there was a boom and explosion, and Chen Kuo dived into the rock and rushed out behind Lin You. His giant rock-covered arm blasted towards Lin You. The speed is as fast as that of speed-type superpowers. Boom! There was a loud noise, and large pieces of gravel were splashed on the ground. Terrifying cracks spread rapidly around like spider webs, even causing the entire arena to shake violently. However, Lin You, who was in the smoke and dust, crossed his arms and flew out, using the inertia to jump onto a rock pillar. Escaped. Chen Kuo, whose attack failed, was filled with surprise. He was not surprised to be able to dodge the attack, but Lin You was unscathed by such a powerful shock wave, which really surprised him. You must know that the attack he just made was filled with all his strength, and even the top 10th level defensive type might not be able to block it. But Lin You resisted in such an understatement, and his defense was probably not inferior to his. But you can't defeat him just by having strong defense. Chen Kuo sneered, and his body sank again, integrating with the rocks under his feet, ready to attack again. Roar! But at this moment, roars suddenly sounded. On the site that was originally dotted with giant rock pillars, large tracts of plants grew and spread rapidly in all directions. Then several trees mutated and turned into 10 huge twisted tree demons, swinging their roots wildly and smashing all the surrounding rock pillars. What? Chen Kuo, who was hiding in one of the rock pillars, changed his expression and immediately activated his ability to escape underground. But the next second, there was a loud bang, and before he could escape, he was blasted out of the rock pillar by a tree whip. After breaking several rock pillars, he stopped at the edge. Rocks as hard as steel were as brittle as paper under the attack of those tree demons. What a terrifying attack! Doesn't it mean that the spiritual pets of these outsiders are generally not strong? Chen Kuo's blood surged in his body, and he was horrified. There were even screams in the stands. What's going on? Why are there suddenly so many tree demons on the field? Could this be that person's spiritual pet? Such a powerful spiritual pet. It actually defeated Chen Kuo's rock protection in one go. But why does he have 11 spiritual pets? Everyone looked at Ling Shi and the 10 tree demons beside Lin You with confusion. Doesn't it mean that a 10th level spirit master can only summon 10 spirit pets at the same time? Why is there one more? Even the Realm Alliance was shocked, because they discovered that those tree demons were very different from the 10th level tree demons they knew. Not only is it larger in size, but it is also covered with a layer of black hardwood. It looks many times more domineering than the tree demon summoned by ordinary flower essences, like the king of tree demons. Isn't it a summoned object, but an ordinary tree demon type soldier? Someone would actually train this military force. Impossible. Ordinary tree demon soldiers will never be this strong. Isn't this almost as powerful as the 9 fragments of the Lord's Godhead? As we all know, even if a 10th level soldier is transformed into a hero, the upper limit of basic attributes is only 50,000, which is incomparable to a lord who can enhance his own attributes. But now, the combat power displayed by Lin Yu's tree demons is already comparable to that of their lords, who have enhanced their attributes, and is even more terrifying. How can this be? However, how did they know that these were just tree demons summoned by Lingxi? As the head of the royal family, Lingxi's own talent has 20% skill power blessing. Therefore, the tree demon she summoned did not inherit 100% of her attributes, but inherited 120% of her attributes. That is 10 subordinates equivalent to 9 fragments of Godhead. Go ahead and make a quick decision. Lin Yu stood on top of the rock pillar that was already entangled with vines, looking down at the entire site. After receiving the order, Lingxi immediately raised her staff high, and a surge of supreme majesty suddenly erupted, heading towards Chen Kuo to suppress it. Not good. Chen Kuo's expression changed suddenly. He felt the terrifying pressure contained in the aura, and immediately activated his ability. Countless rock spikes rushed out of the ground and stabbed Lin You from all directions. But before he could get close, he was blasted away by 10 tree demons on the side, and the rocks shattered on the ground. Looking again at the place where Chen Kuo was standing just now, he had long since disappeared. Chen Kuo, who was hiding in the rock, sneered secretly. It doesn't matter if you are strong, as long as I keep relying on rocks to fight, you can't do anything to me. Moreover, when fighting against spirit masters, only fools would confront spirit pets head-on. Think about it. Chen Ku's eyes turned cold, and he passed through the rock and instantly appeared on the rock pillar, where Lin You was standing. With a loud roar, it burst out of the stone. Go to hell! With a loud roar, the hard rocks gathered on his arm to form a sharp knife, stabbing Lin You hard in the back of the heart. The speed was so fast that it seemed as if the air was being penetrated. Lin You also completely lost his balance due to the sudden explosion of the rock pillar, and fell from above. However, he did not panic. Instead, he showed a smile of success. An invisible spiritual force lifted him up, and he stepped aside. At the same time, his palms flew, and the vines originally attached to the rock pillar rushed out and wrapped around Chen Ku's body. It was the trap he had already laid at his feet, waiting for Chen Ku to take the bait. Chen Ku was shocked. He didn't expect that Lin You had been waiting for him to take action and come out of the rock. Seeing that his body was entangled in vines and 10 terrifying tree demons were surrounding him, he immediately shouted loudly, "I surrender." Aha! The space was distorted, and Chen Ku disappeared directly and was teleported outside. It also caused the tree demons' attack to fail instantly. This moment, everyone was stunned, especially the people on the other side of the living world couldn't believe their eyes. Chen Ku, who had SS level rock powers, lost so easily. Who the hell is that guy? Not to mention the old lords, who had just been defeated by Chen Ku. They were all shocked, and asked about Lin Yu's background. This kid really has a trick up his sleeve. Emperor Xinyao looked at Lin Yu standing on the stage, and cursed in a low voice. Unexpectedly, Lin Yu's strength has already reached this level in such a short period of time. If it weren't for the temptation of rewards, I'm afraid this kid would still want to wait until the end before taking action, right? He couldn't help but be a little surprised. The people on the Realm Alliance side, after many inquiries, finally learned the identity of Lin Yu's anti-alliance camp, and their expressions suddenly turned gloomy. Are the flower spirits and tree demons his strongest weapons? It seems so. Ordinary military units don't have such terrifying strength. Indeed, that guy doesn't look easy to mess with, so be careful when you go up there. There are just a few plant soldiers. What should we be careful about? That's right. If they want to occupy the central arena with just those few units, they might be thinking a little too easily. Let me do it. I want to show him what true strength is. Immediately, a mechanical lord, who exuded the aura of fire, stood up. Under the gaze of everyone, there was an explosion under his feet, and he suddenly jumped towards the central arena, where Lin Yu was. And at this time, after the battle, the dilapidated central arena had been restored to its original state, under the influence of the rules. Even the energy that Lin Yu and Ling Shi had just consumed had all returned to full value, and they were standing at the edge of the ring looking at the fallen person. Boy, my name is Gang Deli, and this is the person who killed you. Before Lin Yu could ask, the other party had already announced his name arrogantly, and a powerful aura of fire emerged from his body. Another opponent with 8 fragments of Godhead. Lin Yu's eyes narrowed slightly. Today he could meet so many top experts, who were rarely seen in ordinary times, and they were mainly focused on fire abilities. Judging from the mechanical prosthetics all over the opponent's body, he should be the lord of the cyborg clan. Moreover, he is surrounded by evil spirits, and he is obviously a lackey of the Realm Alliance. In this case, he has nothing to be polite about. Lingxi, with a low shout, the 10 tree demons summoned by Lingxi roared in unison, and surrounded the opponent with booming footsteps, causing the entire arena to shake. The same tricks don't work on me. Gang Deli laughed, and the space around him was distorted, and 10 flame turret meshes, that were several meters high, appeared at the same time. Boom! A heat wave suddenly broke out, sweeping across most of the arena in an instant, causing the temperature in the arena to rise suddenly. Triggered by the burning effect of flames, the fire resistance is reduced by 20%. The effect of Frost Spirit War Armor is triggered, and the abnormal status is reduced to 11.5%. 2 cold reminders sounded in Lin Yu's mind, in stark contrast to the hot atmosphere on the stage. Immediately afterwards, with loud explosions, a large number of flame cannonballs were fired from those meshes, exploding in the center of the arena, turning the entire arena into a sea of fire in the blink of an eye. And Gang Deli was not idle either. The power of rules exploded, and several huge missiles fell from the sky, exploding into a sky-burning flame, swallowing up Lin Yu and the tree demons. What a terrifying fire attack! The Machine Lord's fire skills are actually so strong. The plant type is originally afraid of fire, and that guy probably won't be able to handle it this time. He won't be burned to death directly, right? In the stands, people from the 3 major camps kept exclaiming, and they were all shocked by the powerful methods displayed by Gang Deli. If it were normal, you could avoid these attacks by rushing out of the flame zone, but now we are in the ring, and if we leave the range, we will be judged to have failed. There is no way to avoid it, so you can only resist. Therefore, Many people are not optimistic about Lin You, and feel that he will not be able to persist for long. How about ha ha ha? There's nothing to do this time, right? Gang Deli laughed wildly and seemed to be very confident in his flame-burning move. The laughter spread throughout the ring and outside. Is this your method? But at this moment, a calm voice suddenly sounded in the flames. Lin You, who should have been seriously burned, slowly walked out of the flames as if nothing happened. Even the spirits and tree demons around him were enveloped in the breath of life and were not affected by the burning flames at all. Impossible. How could there be nothing wrong with you? Seeing Lin You appear intact, Gang Deli's expression changed instantly, and his eyes were full of shock. Under the dual attack of burning flames to reduce flame resistance and flame spray, even Lin Yu's defense could not be broken. How can this be? You seem to have forgotten that the defense of the plant system is the highest among all the lords. Lin Yu slowly walked out of the flames and said calmly, at this time, his physique has reached the full 10th level of 100,000. Any defensive skill can improve his attributes to a very terrifying level. It's not easy to break through his defense with just a large-scale fire attack. HMPH, I want to see how long you can hold on. Gang Deli obviously cannot accept such a result. With a cold snort, the flames around him surged again, wrapping the 10 flame jet meshes inside, and they gradually merged together to form a giant fighter plane that was 20 meters high. Mechanical integration. Lin Yu looked at the huge creature, surrounded by flames in surprise. It is said that the cyborg tribe is the most proficient in the control of machinery, but I didn't expect that they could be directly integrated into one. The momentum of the combined giant fighter suddenly surged, and there were faint signs of surpassing Gang Deli, reaching the level of 9 godhead fragments. Do it. Hearing Gang Deli's order, the giant war machine moved. From the red tubes behind him, beams of flame suddenly shot out, covering the entire arena and shooting towards Lin Yu. From those light beams, Lin Yu finally felt a hint of threat. With a wave of his hand, the protective barrier and the mirror wall appeared. A huge translucent light shield protected him, Lingxi and the tree demon, and at the same time activated the frost shield on the frost spirit armor. Boom boom boom. Deafening explosions continued to sound on the ring. Under the carpet bombing of giant fighter planes, Lin Yu and the others were submerged again. Their bodies were covered with wounds penetrated by flame rays. 2 tree demons died one after another immediately, and even the protective barrier was crumbling. The spectacular scene immediately caused people in the stands to exclaim, it's like watching a visual feast. The kings of the Xinyao Empire and Li Ke were nervous, staring intently at what was happening on the stage, secretly sweating for Lin Yu. Unexpectedly, at this time, there was a sudden click sound. The protective barrier and frost shield protecting Lin Yu exploded at the same time. A wave of cold air centered on Lin Yu instantly swept around, freezing all the flames. The shields provided by the protective barrier also appeared on Lin Yu and Lingxi, helping them withstand the remaining attacks. Taking this opportunity, Lin Yu stepped forward and activated his swift shadow skill to fly towards the giant fighter plane at the edge of the platform. Lingxi raised her staff high and directly controlled it remotely. Countless wooden spikes suddenly rushed out from the ground and pointed directly at Gang Deli's vitals. Want to beat me? It's not that easy, Gang Deli shouted, and a flame shield appeared on his body to block Lingxi's attack, and dodged to the side. Then he moved left and right on the stage, and started fighting with Lingxi and 10 tree demons. At the same time, flames exploded from the giant fighter plane, turning into a horrifying ring of fire and knocking back the approaching Lin Yu. The idea of letting him use the swallowing skill to swallow the opponent's fusion effect was immediately dashed. People who can achieve this kind of strength are really smart, but this level alone is not enough to stop him. Lin Yu's face darkened slightly, seeing that the protective shield on his body was broken by the ring of fire. He directly activated the Shadalis Phantom Walker skill, and his body began to become illusory boom. At this moment, the giant fighter jet spewed out raging flames, hitting him squarely, completely engulfing him. What's going on? Why doesn't he hide away? Has your brain been burned to death? It's probably impossible to block such a powerful fire attack, right? No. You guys, look into the fire. Suddenly, everyone in the stand screamed, and they all looked towards the area burned by the flames. Under the constant burning of the flames, wounds appeared on Lin Yu's body and healed immediately, and his illusory figure kept flickering. What's extremely strange is that every time he flickers, there will be a phantom exactly like him next to him. Then, those phantoms began to flicker in the flames, splitting into identical individuals. Just like this, 1 is divided into 2, 2 is divided into 4, and 4 is divided into 8. In the blink of an eye, the entire stage was filled with Lin Yu's phantom incarnation, and the scene looked extremely weird. It is exactly the effect of Shadalis level 10 skills. 50% chance to dodge attacks, and each time you dodge successfully, a phantom will appear that inherits all your abilities, lasting 10 seconds. Don't look at it as just a defensive skill, but the potential of this skill is very terrifying because as long as it is attacked, it can copy countless selves in a short time and possess all its own abilities. Roar. Immediately, several phantoms started to roar savagely. All of them, including Lin You and Ling Shi, were wrapped in a red light, and their aura suddenly lifted. Then Lin You felt it carefully, and found that his savage roar could still be activated, and his eyes suddenly brightened. He found a way to turn on unlimited savage roar. What kind of skill is this? Gang Deli on the opposite side was shocked, staring at the countless Lin You who suddenly appeared on the stage with wide eyes. He found that instead of causing any real damage to Lin You, his continuous flame attack caused more and more phantom clones of him finally. In his disbelieving eyes, Lin You and those phantoms exploded together, and an extremely powerful aura of rules spurted out from their bodies, causing the entire air to distort. Rumble. Violent noises exploded in the ring. Countless spiked vines suddenly rushed out from under the ring. The number was so huge that before Gang Deli and the giant fighter plane even had time to react, their shields were shattered and their bodies were entangled. Then he led them high into the sky, transformed into a giant green python made of thorny vines, and crashed into the ring with a bang, shaking the entire ring. Under this huge impact, Gang Deli spurted out a mouthful of blood. All the mechanical prosthetics on his body were shattered. His chest was directly penetrated by vines, and his eyes bulged. The giant fighter plane next to it turned into a pile of scrap metal, dead, and the flames on the stage were instantly extinguished. Quiet. The whole stand was silent. Even the people who were fighting in other arenas near the central arena stopped and looked here with horrified expressions. That blow just now. Is it really something that a 10th level lord can do? And after the silence, the stand suddenly exploded, and a large crowd of exclamations erupted. Fuck, what was that just now? The clone can actually activate skills like the Lord. So many clones are activating skills at the same time. This is too abnormal. This is the first time I have seen a clone with such exaggerated combat power. Generally speaking, the clone's skills can only inherit up to 80% of the attributes of the main body, and most of them only have a few basic attack skills, which are separate from the main body. But what they saw just now, he is clearly as powerful as Lin You, and can even control the power of rules to activate clones with the same skills as him. What is this ability? Are there such perverted skills among plant-based soldiers? Not to mention the contestants, even the emperors from all walks of life, on the stage look surprised. Their perception is overwhelming, so they watch the process more carefully. At that moment, the momentum of Lin Yu's phantom clones had clearly exceeded the level of the full explosion of the 9 fragments of the Godhead. That is to say, in addition to the conventional explosive methods of the troops, Lin Yu also hides other methods that can greatly improve his strength, and there are more than one. This is definitely not something that ordinary arms can provide. They couldn't help but be surprised, and their attention shifted from other arenas to Lin Yu. What a boy! You can exert this level of strength with just 7 fragments of your Godhead, and you dare to pretend to be weak with me. Emperor Shenyao cursed angrily, but he couldn't stop the smile on his face. If he was only 10% sure that he could train Lin Yu to become the next great emperor, then he is almost certain now, at least 30% sure, as long as Lin Yu doesn't die, he will most likely become the 12th emperor in their primitive world. Even though it is only 30%, this is already unimaginable in the entire world. Even the top 10 realms with the most abundant resources dare not boast of such a mouth. Brother Shenyao, you really have a good seed under your hands. Not far away, a rich-looking emperor said somewhat sourly. Why couldn't he see Lin Yu's great potential, and wished he could rush in and dig him out now? Ha ha. It's just some little tricks that can't be put on the stage. Emperor Shenyao waved his hands modestly, and his smile gradually faded. An emperor-level seedling is just a seedling after all. Looking at the entire world, how many talented and beautiful people were once hailed as the most likely to achieve the throne, but ended up falling halfway? If the emperor level is really that easy to achieve, there are not just those few in each realm. So even though he was happy in his heart, he didn't act too exaggerated, but his evaluation of Lin Yu was much higher. And at this time, on top of the center stage, when Gang Deli was judged to have failed, he teleported away. The mess in the arena also began to recover quickly, returning to its original appearance in the blink of an eye. Even the wounds on Lin Yu and Ling Xi that were penetrated by the flame rays disappeared, as if nothing had happened. Everyone looked at each other and talked about it. For a while, no one dared to challenge him on stage again. The real top experts are watching in secret, planning to study his methods again. No one comes up. After waiting for a while, no one challenged him, and Lin Yu frowned. This cannot continue. If he doesn't perform outstandingly enough, what if those emperors use this as an excuse to deduct fragments of his godhead? No, gotta think of something. Thinking of this, He focused his eyes, raised his head and glanced around proudly. What, weren't you all arrogant just now? Why is no one coming up now? Or are you saying that all of you here are trash? The extremely arrogant voice clearly spread to all the surrounding stands. The stands where the discussion was still going on suddenly exploded. Fuck, you're so arrogant. How dare you call us trash? We are so impatient. You think you're awesome just because you beat 2 people. Right, go on. Beat down this arrogant guy. Let me go up and kill him. I have to say that Wong too had used this trick before and it really worked. Just by swearing rubbish, everyone in the stands immediately became furious and started yelling curses. The Lord in the anti-alliance team was stunned for a moment and then shouted excitedly, "Well done, bro. Haha. You are so crazy. You are indeed from our side. You are right. All of you here are rubbish. Just occupy that arena and disgust them." In the blink of an eye, the atmosphere of the entire 10th level venue was heightened to its peak, and even the venues of other levels nearby were attracted and looked towards this side. Brother you, isn't this too showy? Lika asked worriedly. Although he has a perverse temper, he thinks he can't do this. At the same time, he was vaguely excited. What he couldn't do, Lin You did it so easily. He was truly the person he recognized. Even Ji Xing and others beside him were worried and excited. There were not many opportunities for them in the primitive world to show off like this, so they felt very angry and had the urge to express their displeasure. The 2 great emperors Xinyao and Xianyu had strange expressions on their faces, and they obviously did not expect Lin You to suddenly make such a fuss. But that's fine too. With his voice, all the attention in other arenas was focused on him. Even if he is defeated by then, it will attract a lot of hatred to his companions and relieve a lot of pressure. As for the quota, it's just a matter of grabbing another arena at the end. With Lin Yu's strength, it should be easy to do it. "Bye, I'm here to meet you." Just when everyone was excited, someone from the living world finally shouted loudly and jumped directly to the ring where Lin You was. Without saying a word, he immediately mobilized his abilities to attack Lin You and used his killing move as soon as he came up. However, in less than a dozen rounds, the tree demon summoned by Lingxi was blasted away. He vomited blood and flew back, unable to hold on for even 2 minutes. "Let me." Immediately afterwards, there was another loud shout. A young king from the Realm Alliance jumped onto the ring and attacked Lin You. However, his performance was even worse. He was killed on the spot in less than a minute and teleported away from the ring. Just like this, one after another angrily jumped onto the ring, but no one could do anything to Lin You, and they were all kicked off the ring mercilessly. 1 person and 1 flower essence stand on it, like 2 gods of war guarding the central arena. Gradually, they were finally shocked by Lin Yu's terrifying strength, and no longer looked down upon him because he only had 7 fragments of his godhead. They even classified him as having 9 fragments at the same level. It also gradually attracted the attention of those top experts. We can't let their people continue to be arrogant. A sharp-eyed middle-aged man from the Realm Alliance slowly walked out and stared closely at Lin You on the stage. It was already afternoon. If Lin You is allowed to continue to occupy the center stage, it will probably be very detrimental to them in grabbing more spots in the end. "Do you really want to go up early?" another person asked. "Of course. I want to see who has the stronger defense between me and him." After saying that, the man jumped up suddenly and landed on the center stage, making a roaring sound. The majestic momentum immediately shocked everyone who was yelling in the stands. 9 fragments of Godhead. What a terrifying aura. I feel like he is stronger than everyone in front of him. That seems to be the Mountain King of the Eternal Realm. What are you talking about? King of Zenshan. The man who claims that his defense can rank among the top 10 in the 10th level of the Eternal World. He's right. That guy would take action at such a time. Now we're in trouble. Seeing the man appear, everyone in the stands suddenly exclaimed, setting off a wave of discussion. Especially those who knew him were even more frightened. As one of the 10 major realms, the strength of the Eternal Realm is unquestionable. Being able to rank among the top 10 at the same level is almost equivalent to the top existences in other ordinary realms. And the most important thing is that the opponent is still a top powerhouse, with 9 fragments of the Godhead, only 1 step away from the 11th level. To actually send a lord of this level to fight, it seems that Lin Yu's existence has made the Realm Alliance feel threatened, and it finally became unable to sit still. "Bye. Should I send you down, or should you go down by yourself?" On the central stage, Zenshan King looked at Lin Yu indifferently, with a condescending tone in his words. Lin Yu narrowed his eyes, and he could clearly hear the discussion in the stands. He didn't expect that a guy with 9 fragments of the Godhead would come up so quickly. It was really beyond his expectation, but it is not so easy to compete with him for the title of strongest defense. He can admit that his attack is not as good as others, but his defense is not. Go ahead and let me see what qualifications you have to say such a thing. Lin You also responded with an arrogant attitude. With a thought, Lingxi and 10 tree demons appeared beside him, getting ready to fight. It seems you want me to beat you down myself. King Zenshen looked cold and stopped talking nonsense. With a wave of his hand, 10 huge figures appeared on the ring, causing an uproar among the audience, because what he summoned at this time was a titan, one of the rarest humanoid arms. Not only that, those 10-meter-high titans were all equipped with a set of 10th-level defensive equipment. With the blessing of humanoid racial talents, they exuded an extremely terrifying aura. 10 sets of 10th-level equipment, and it's also specially built defensive equipment. Lin Yu's eyes narrowed slightly, finally knowing the source of the other party's confidence, and he was surprised at the same time. With the size of the titans, it is extremely difficult to build a set of equipment, and the amount of materials required is staggering. This guy actually made 10 sets at once, all specially customized. Sure enough, the background of these top old kings is incomparable to those of young kings. This posture alone is enough to surpass most of the 10th level. Moreover, the defense and strength of the titans are notoriously powerful, stronger than ordinary rare units. Not to mention that these have been transformed into heroic units, making them even more powerful. It's not too late for you to regret surrendering now. King Zenshan spoke again, jumped onto the shoulders of one of the titans, and stared at Lin You condescendingly. That's exactly what I want to tell you. Lin You smiled casually, unmoved at all. Very good. Then don't blame me for being cruel. Do it without any more nonsense. With an order, the 10 titans of Zenshan King rushed towards Lin You, with booming footsteps, and at the same time, the equipment on their bodies lit up with buff lights. Zenshan King also followed suit and activated group buffs, making their momentum even stronger. Block them. Before Lin You could speak, Lingxi on the side gave orders to the 10 tree demons in front of them and went straight to meet them. In the blink of an eye, the troops from both sides collided violently, making a loud roar. However, to Lin Yu's expectation, when faced with the collision of the tree demon, the 10 titans did not move at all, and only suffered some injuries. The tree demon was knocked back and seriously injured. Really, without an explosion, without extra means and wisdom, it is still a bit difficult for them to deal with enemies with skills and equipment. After all, they inherited Lynx's attributes. As a legal system, Lynx's strength and physical attributes are not its advantages. In particular, the Titan class has an exclusive ability that can suppress targets smaller than itself, increasing the damage caused by 30% and reducing the damage received by 30%. Although Lynx's tree demon was already big enough, it was still a little inferior when facing the Titans, and it was gradually defeated after a while. It's useless. I told you there's no way you can win me. King Zenshan laughed loudly, and without giving Lin You a chance to think about it, the power of rules exploded, and the flying swords in the sky condensed, turning into countless streams of light and shooting straight at him. The Titan followed closely behind, and its huge fist suddenly came down, pointing directly at Lin Yu's position. Tangled with thorns, Lingxi raised her staff high and directly activated her third skill, Thorn Coil. For a moment, large thorns grew on all the Titans and flying swords, entangling them all. However, this only makes them stop for a moment. The next second, the thorns were rushed away by the Titan's huge strength and sharp blade, and attacked Lin You again. Boom! There was a loud noise, and the ring was smashed into a terrifying pit by the Titan. Lin You retreated from the rubble, gathered large vines to block the flying swords, and started to swim back and forth under the fierce attack of Zenshan King. There were even times when he was in danger and faced the risk of being hit. The king of Zenshan obviously also knew how good Lingxi was, so he specially used some attacks to hold her back, and not give her a chance to launch long-range attacks. In the blink of an eye, only 4 of the 10 tree demons were left, and almost all of them were killed by Zenshan King's separate attacks. There was no way to withstand the fierce attack from him and the Titans. It's over. That guy seems to be no match for Zenshan King. The same goes for his spiritual pets. They were simply suppressed and beaten by the Titans. Does this need to be said? With the strength of Zenshan King, it is almost impossible for him to win. Haha, so many soldiers died at once. I wonder how arrogant he is. In the minds of everyone in the stands, those 10 tree demons were already Lin Yu's strongest troops. Now 6 out of 10 are dead. No matter how strong he is, he can't resist the siege of the Mountain King Titan. Moreover, King Zenshan has been staring at him, giving him no chance to trigger the Phantom Walker. Defeat is only a matter of time. Even Zenshan King himself laughed proudly. Give up. Half of your strongest troops are dead. What can you use to fight me? Yeah. Lin You, who was dodging, sneered, suddenly stopped, and looked back at him. King Zenshan's expression changed, and he had a vague premonition. Don't wait for his reaction. The space in front of Lin You was distorted. Qing Gang, Let them see who has the strongest defense. With a loud shout, Qin Gang, who had been waiting for a long time, suddenly appeared on the ring. The huge size was actually more than twice the size of the tree demon. With a roar, it directly knocked away all the 5 titans that rushed forward. How can it be? King Zenshin's eyes widened. He didn't expect that Lin You actually had a unit comparable to Lingxi. He thought that he could easily kill Lin You by relying on his strong defense to hold Lingxi back and defeat him one by one. Unexpectedly, Lin Yu actually has a second unit comparable to Lingxi. What's going on? Why did he summon another tree spirit soldier? Is it the same tree demon as before? Probably not. The look and smell are so different. Even the titan can be knocked back at once, but he has never summoned such a powerful soldier. So he was hiding his strength in the past. Hiss, hidden strength. Qin Gang's appearance made the crowd excited, and all eyes were fixed on Qin Gang's body, which was bigger than the titan. At the same time, he was shocked by the strength displayed by Lin You. When he defeated those challengers before, he didn't even use his full strength. To know, many of them have the strength of 8 or more fragments of the godhead, so they can't force him to use his full strength. Unbelievable. This caused a commotion among the crowd. At this moment, someone noticed something again, and suddenly there was an exclamation. No, look at that flower essence. What is she doing? This exclamation immediately turned everyone's attention to Lingxi. She waved the staff in her hand gently, and a large number of plants rose up from the ground with a loud roar, emerging crazily. Then the staff pointed out of the air, and 6 of the trees twisted rapidly, and in an instant they turned into tree demons that were exactly the same as before, and reunited with the remaining 4. The appearance of this scene immediately made everyone in the stands suddenly open their eyes, and their faces were full of shock. Summons. Those extremely powerful tree demons were all summoned by the flower essence. This moment, everyone was shocked. During the previous battle, they had always thought that the tree demons were soldiers summoned by Lin You, and they should be at the peak of his combat power, but he didn't expect that they were just puppets summoned one by one. You can even add them as you like. What kind of monster is that? Etc. Suddenly, someone reacted with a surprised and uncertain expression. If those tree demons are all summons, doesn't it mean that he has only summoned one type of soldier so far? As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned again, and then their pupils suddenly shrunk, and they looked at Lin You on the stage with a horrified expression. A military unit. That person has only summoned one unit to fight so far. And at this time, King Zenshan on the stage also quickly reacted to the shock, summoned the titans, and looked at the tree demon summoned by Lingxi with great solemnity, and Qin Gang who was blocking Lin You. So this is all your strength? He said with a serious face, no longer as arrogant and disdainful as before. You are proud to be able to force me to summon him. Lin You did not answer his words, but said with a smile, Qin Gang's current physique has reached more than 170,000, and his hardening skills can reach nearly 200,000. Even if the opponent possesses 9 fragments of the godhead, it is not easy to break through his defense, let alone those titans. HMPH. I want to see how he can block my attack and attack. The plant type has self-recovery and healing skills, and is best at protracted battles. The king of Zenshan obviously did not intend to give Lin You a chance to recover, and without any nonsense, he gave the order and 10 titans attacked again and rushed towards Lin You. Wherever it went, the ground shook, and at the same time, light emerged from the equipment, and a huge stone pillar more than 10 meters long was condensed in the hand. From top to bottom, it suddenly swung towards Qin Gang, and the tree demon in front of it. Qin Gang, leave them to you, Lin You shouted, leaning down and pressing his hand on the ground. A large number of vines rushed out with him as the center, spreading rapidly in all directions. King Dong roared angrily, his savage roar, and the war barrier opened together. He gathered a defensive shield in front of himself and all the tree demons, and went straight to meet them. Boom! With a loud noise, the huge stone pillar falling from the sky was directly caught by Qin Gang's hands. As soon as his feet sank, he suddenly lifted the stone pillar, lifting the titan at the other end of the stone pillar into the air, and smashed it to the ground, exploding a huge deep pit. And the 10 tree demons, with the blessing of the 2 major skills, were also extremely brave. The tree vines blocked the stone pillar, smashed it into pieces, and rushed towards the titan again. Quick, stop them. At this time, the Zenshan king was completely shocked. While issuing orders, he gathered the power of rules to stop them. But at this moment, a large number of vines rushed out, and shot at him from all directions. Your opponent is me. Lin Yu's cold voice rang above his head, and he appeared above him, at an unknown moment, holding an offensive and defensive war blade in his hand, and slashed down with a sudden strike. King Zenshan's expression changed drastically. He raised his hand and a shadow of a shield appeared in front of him. At the same time, The sword light passed by and cut the vines into pieces. Boom, click. The deafening collision was accompanied by a crisp sound. The defensive skills that Zenshin King was proud of were actually defeated in one blow and turned into energy dissipating in the air. King Zenshin was shocked. He did not expect that the power of a plant type could be so terrifying. You must know that this defensive skill of his can withstand 1.5 times the damage of his own body, and even this can be broken through at once. How powerful is this power? Unexpectedly, a large knife opened a gash in his chest, splattering a large amount of blood. If you dare to think too much, there was an explosion under your feet, and you jumped out. With a move of his arm, arrows rained down from the sky, turning into a dense black cloud and falling suddenly. Lin You frowned slightly. The attack he just made had already activated the effects on the offensive and defensive blades, exchanging strength and physique, so that the opponent could still escape. He is truly worthy of being an old king. With 9 fragments of his godhead, he is truly powerful. If there was no transition between offense and defense, he might really have nothing to do with the opponent, unless more than half of the royal family is dispatched. But now, whoosh, just as he was thinking about it, a sound broke through the air. Ling Shi from behind finally took action, and the large turbulent leaves turned into a green torrent, directly colliding with the arrow rain in the sky, making a clanging sound. Without the interference of the Titan, she was finally able to use all her strength, bursting out long-range magic skills one after another, and successfully blocked the attack of Zenshin King. Seeing this opportunity, Lin Yu's feet exploded and he flew straight towards Zenshin King. Taking advantage of the last few seconds of the exchange of offense and defense, the sword in his hand slashed out, tearing a space crack in the air. Feeling the terrifying power of this blow, Zenshin King did not dare to be careless. His body sank, and a shadow of the god of war, holding a sword and shield, appeared behind him, with his hands crossed in front of him. Boom! With a loud noise, King Zenshin took a few steps back, and his sleeves were directly shaken into powder, exposing a pair of arms dyed golden, with a shallow blood stain cut across them. What a strong defense! Lin Yu looked at the violently shaking blade in his hand, and was secretly surprised. No wonder the opponent is considered one of the top 10 in defense in the Eternal Realm. He can even resist his attack head-on. He is definitely the one with the strongest defense, among the 10th level he has ever seen. But he didn't know. At this time, Zenshin King was even more horrified. He only felt that his arms were numb, and his veins were all broken, as if they were no longer his own arms. Even the wounds on his chest were completely broken open, almost deep into his lungs. If he hadn't used the skill to resist just now, he might have lost not just his arm, but his life as well. How could there be such a perverted character among the anti-alliance camp? He had never heard of it before. No, if he continues to fight, he will die here sooner or later. Seeing the Titans retreating steadily under the attacks of Qing Gang and the Tree Demon, and Lin Yu, and Ling Zi's offensive coming again, King Zenshin immediately gritted his teeth. I surrender. 3 words came clearly from his mouth. Lin Yu Gong was about to activate the effect of the offensive and defensive belt to exchange his spirit and physique, and then exploded with Lingxi to take him away in a wave. But he did not expect that he would react faster, and surrender immediately when the situation was not good. So afraid of death, no wonder he piles up all kinds of defenses. And the moment the Zenshin King's voice fell, his whole body was wrapped in the power of rules. His injuries recovered quickly, and he was teleported to the stands. The sudden change made everyone stunned. With expressions of disbelief on their faces, the Mountain King, known as the strongest defense, he actually lost. And he lost so completely that he was defeated in just a few rounds. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't even believe it was true. But immediately, the stands suddenly erupted into cheers, and the entire 10th level venue was boiling again. As for the Living World and Realm Alliance, everyone looked gloomy and stared at Lin Yu on the stage. Even the guy from Zenshin lost. This kid is really not simple. What should we do next? Are we going to let them continue to be so arrogant? The central arena must not be occupied by these outsiders. We must defeat him this time. But even the guy who was so strong just now failed. Who else can beat him? As they talked, people from both camps began to have difficulties. With the strength Lin Yu has shown now, he has reached the top 10th level. Especially the terrifying strength of those 2 arms is even more shocking. There are probably not many people here who can beat him, but if these top players want to win the spot, they can challenge the weaker ones, and there is no need to fight with Lin Yu to death. This also resulted in a situation where no one was on the field, putting the central arena in an embarrassing situation. Let me do it. Finally, after a long time, a voice without any emotion sounded from the team in the Living World. A young man dressed in black with 2 translucent daggers at his waist walked out slowly, looking calmly at the ring where Lin Yu was. Seeing him appear, all the people in the Living World suddenly widened their eyes and stepped aside with frightened expressions on their faces. Zhongwu, why is he here? Zhongwu, one of the 3 giants of the 10th level of the city of origin. Didn't you say that he was in seclusion recently to attack the 11th level? Why did he suddenly appear here? Haha, this is a good show. It is said that no one has ever been able to survive from his dagger. The spectators in the living world screamed incessantly, and all eyes were focused on the cold and arrogant young man, full of fear. When people from the 2 camps nearby heard their conversation, they were also shocked. One of the 3 giants of the 10th level of the city of origin. This name carries a lot of weight. It can almost represent the peak combat power of the entire living world. The central arena, which has been occupied by Lin You for so long, may change hands this time. Lin You stood at one end of the ring and looked at Zhongwu, who appeared at the other end with surprise. He felt a very dangerous aura from the other party. Just standing there, it seems as if he is integrated with everything around him, as if he will disappear if he is not careful. This person is very strong. Lin Guang took one look and immediately came to a conclusion. However, the other party did not make a move, and he had no intention of making a move. Instead, he looked at the other party. You are very strong, Zhongwu said first. In the next battle, I hope you can use your full strength. That depends on whether you have the ability. Lin Yu narrowed his eyes. He felt an amazing fighting spirit from the other party. The natives of the living world have different promotion methods from their lords. They strengthen their bodies by killing monsters and absorbing magic crystals to improve their levels. The level of psychic awakening is through constant battle training and stimulating potential in life and death before you have the opportunity to awaken to a higher level. That is to say, their improvement is limited by bottlenecks, and they do not automatically upgrade when conditions are met. Therefore, the strength displayed is generally stronger than that of lords of the same level. It seems like this guy wants to use him as a stepping stone to break through the bottleneck. In this case, he can't let the other party get his wish. Lin Yu thought silently in his heart. It's useless to talk. Just take action. Once I take action, I'm afraid you won't have a chance. Zhongwu slowly pulled out the translucent dagger from his waist, as if he was explaining some kind of fact. That proud tone made Lin Yu frown, but then, he smiled, and smiled very happily. Since you want to try the feeling of failure, then I will help you. As he spoke, he slowly raised his arms, and the space in front of him began to distort. What does he want to do? Everyone in the stands looked puzzled. They didn't understand the meaning of Lin Yu's action at all, and they all looked at each other in confusion. But the next second, the space was distorted. The entire arena suddenly went dark, and a huge object crashed down, causing the arena to shake violently. At the same time, everyone in the stands was shocked, and their eyes suddenly widened. What is that? Military type? How could there be such a large army in this world? At this moment, everyone was shocked and looked at the green vines that appeared on the platform and the huge vines that almost spread across the entire platform. Such a behemoth. Can it really be summoned by humans? So this is all his strength. What a terrifying aura. He actually has such a perverted unit. When he was fighting King Zenshan just now, he hid his strength. Everyone in the stands was shocked, completely shocked by the strength displayed by Lin Yu. Especially the Zenshan king who had just been defeated was even more livid. He actually didn't even have the qualifications to let the opponent use all his strength. This was a great shame and humiliation for him. At the same time, I was extremely shocked, because the strength that Lin Yu showed was far beyond his imagination, beyond his knowledge of a 10th level lord, and even made him feel scared. Fortunately, this is just a ring competition. If you meet this person in a war, you can't imagine the consequences. While everyone was talking about it, Zhongwu on the stage finally recovered from the shock, and looked at the behemoth that appeared in front of him with a solemn expression. Observed at such a close distance, Qingting's huge size is even more terrifying. A heart-stopping sense of oppression rushed over my face, and I felt like I was outside a strange jungle, as if my whole person was about to be swallowed up. Don't you want me to use all my strength? Only by defeating her can I be qualified to use all my strength. Lin Yu stood on top of a huge vine, looking down at Zhongwu at the edge of the ring. When Zhongwu heard this, he was stunned for a moment, and then his pupils shrank. Only by defeating this monster will you use all your strength. That is to say, this is actually not all his strength. At this moment, Zhongwu was extremely shocked. He finally understood what kind of monster he was facing, but, confident in his own strength, he did not immediately retreat. Instead, he gradually tightened his grip on the dagger in his hand, and pointed his gaze directly at Lin Yu. In that case, I'll force you to use all your strength. With a low shout, the whole person disappeared instantly, leaving a ripple where he stood. It's appeared. Zhongwu's space power. There were exclamations in the audience, and some people immediately recognized Zhongwu's method. When Lin Yu heard this exclamation, his eyes suddenly froze. Space powers. Could it be a similar ability to their lord's ability to travel through space? Just thinking about it, the space behind him suddenly distorted, and Zhongwu, who should have been at the edge of the ring, actually appeared directly behind him. With a flash of cold light, the dagger slashed across his neck, like a phantom disappearing in the air. So fast, Lin You was shocked. This speed across space was faster than the Lord's space shuttle, and the attack fell in the blink of an eye. Chiong, an eardrum-shaking crash. Zhonghwa's attack was blocked by a spiked dagger. The stern Wang appeared behind Lin You at some point and blocked the blow for him. The two sides were separated at the first touch. Falling from the giant vine to the ground, feeling the vibration from the dagger, Zhongwu was shocked and couldn't help but look at Wang beside Lin You, another new spiritual pet. He hadn't noticed the existence of this unit just now. How can this be? As an assassin-type psychic, his perception ability is absolutely top-notch. Even if you can't detect the opponent's aura like this, there is only one possibility. The opponent's strength is not weaker than yourself. Just a spiritual pet with strength not weaker than him. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Zhongwu wouldn't believe anything he said. But now that the facts were in front of him, he had no choice but to believe it, and he gradually put away the last trace of his pride. What followed was a shocking fighting spirit. With a flash of his body, he rushed out again and started a fierce battle with Wang as he wandered through the vine forest. And a thick bloody mist also began to emerge, and in a blink of an eye, it enveloped the entire arena. Only the swimming vines and the figures colliding back and forth inside could be seen vaguely. What's going on? Why is there fog on the field? No, it's not mist. It's the poisonous mist sprayed by that monster. Poisonous mist. Doesn't that mean they have to fight in the poisonous mist? Damn it, my vision is all blocked. I can't see clearly at all. What's going on inside now? Can anyone see clearly? Everyone on the stage scratched their heads anxiously. But no matter how anxious they were, the bloody poisonous mist on the stage still obscured most of their sight. Only some people with enhanced vision abilities can vaguely see some of it. Zhongwu, who was in the vine forest, became more and more frightened, because he discovered that the cactus spiritual pet on the opposite side was incredibly fast. After hundreds of fights between the two sides, he could not find a chance to escape and attack Lin You, and was stopped basically every time. There was also the poisonous mist around him, which made him feel like his vitality was rapidly passing away, forcing him to activate his space powers to isolate the poisonous mist. And then he felt a little better. Boom! Suddenly, there was an explosion under the feet. Giant vines with tree roots rushed out from the ground, blocking all his escape routes. Zhonghwa's face darkened. His body instantly turned into nothingness, and with a flash of cold light, all the vines were cut off. But the next second, a spiked dagger appeared behind him, piercing straight through the void. Tear! The sound of shredding clothes was heard. With his strong intuition, Zhongwu easily dodged Wang's fatal blow, and the dagger passed through his waist. Is this all you have? You can't defeat me with just this. Zhongwu shouted loudly, turned around, and knocked Wang back with a strike, then jumped back slightly, and gradually disappeared into the poisonous mist. If you can force me to use this move, you are the first among the 10th level. The echoing words reverberated throughout the vine forest. Lin You looked around in surprise. With his current powerful perception, he was unable to sense the other party's existence. It's like completely disappearing. Puff! Suddenly, a muffled sound came. Qin Gang, who was standing next to him, was cut open without any warning. Immediately afterwards, a sense of crisis came over. Lin Yu's feet exploded, and his figure rushed out. With a tearing sound, his collar was instantly cut open, and a faint blood stain appeared on his neck, but no trace of attack was seen, as if it appeared out of thin air. What a weird attack! Lin You was horrified. He felt countless invisible blades passing through the air. He couldn't see or feel them. It was extremely weird. Is this the strength of one of the 3 giants in the city of origin? As expected, it was much stronger than the opponents he had encountered before. Generally speaking, when a 10th level person encounters this kind of method, let alone resisting, he may not even be able to escape. In just a few breaths, wounds appeared on the ivy vines, and several royals. They had to activate their defense skills, and look around with a vigilant look. Zhongwu, who was hiding in the void, sneered in his heart. His ability has almost been developed to the extreme, and not just anyone can stop him. Seeing that Lin You was helpless, he merged into the void again and launched an attack through space, preparing to finish Lin You off right away. But at this moment, several mushrooms of different shapes suddenly appeared in front of him, growing out of thin air on the ring. Before he could avoid it, his ankle lightly touched one of the fiery red mushrooms. Boom! There was a loud noise, and a mushroom cloud composed of bloody poisonous mist rose in the vine forest. The terrifying air wave swept around, instantly blowing away the poisonous mist in the vine forest, and finally allowed everyone on the stage to see clearly what was inside. I saw the vines covering the interlaced arena. A large number of strange mushrooms actually grew, covering almost the entire arena, and in the center of the mushroom cloud was Zhongwu, who had just been blown out of the void, with a look of shock and horror on his face, because he found that a huge mushroom, that was harmless to humans and animals had appeared next to Lin You. It was looking at him, with a grin. Under him, there were mushrooms of various colors covering almost the entire platform. "If you can force me to use this move, you are the first among the 10th level." The same words came out from Lin Yu's mouth lightly. Then the rules condensed and the void space was activated, blocking all Zhongwu's displacement abilities. Boom boom boom. Violent explosions continued to sound in the center of the ring, causing the air around to shake violently. Zhongwu, who fell from the sky, was also completely drowned by the explosion. "Look, the poisonous fog has been blown away." The dissipation of the bloody poisonous mist finally made everyone in the stands energetic, and they all stared at the central arena. Some even directly controlled flying units and spiritual pets to investigate, wanting to know the specific battle situation between Lin You and Zhongwu. However, what they saw was a violent explosion and a surging mushroom poisonous mist. Red, white, blue and green, poisonous mist and dust of various colors were mixed together, surging wildly in the arena, and loud roars echoed in the ears. Vaguely, you can also see a blurry figure flying in the air, being blown into the sky, and then falling to the ground, like a rag that rises and falls. Aha! Finally, the space was distorted, and a figure suddenly appeared on the stand. Everyone was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but look at the person. It was Zhongwu, who teleported from the central arena. What happened? Why was Zhongwu teleported out? Damn it, Zhongwu was teleported out. Doesn't that mean lost? Zhongwu actually lost. What happened just now? The crowd screamed, and Evrion's face was full of astonishment. Who is Zhongwu? That was one of the 3 giants of the 10th level of the city of origin. Even the other 2 would not dare to provoke him easily with his assassination skills. To lose like this, Zhongwu, what on earth is going on? A young man who was familiar with Zhongwu walked out of the crowd and came to Zhongwu. At this time, Zhongwu's expression was extremely deep, and he was a little dazed, as if he had not yet recovered from the recent incident. Hearing the young man's voice, he raised his head, glanced around at the eyes staring at him, and frowned slightly. "I advise you not to go into that ring. That guy is a monster." After saying that, he walked toward the exit without looking back, and disappeared from Evrion's sight after a while. It wasn't until they couldn't see it anymore that they finally reacted, and they were all shocked. Monster. Zhonggo, who thinks so highly of himself, actually calls that guy a monster. How can this be? Even the Realm Alliance was in an uproar after receiving the news of Zhongwu's defeat, and they all looked towards the central arena. However, at this time, Lin You had already returned the other royal families to their original space, leaving only Qing Tang on the ring. The twisted giant vines spread all around, filled with thick bloody poisonous mist, turning the entire arena into a strange and terrifying bloody forest, making it impossible to see the specific situation inside. Everyone in the stands looked at each other. That exaggerated picture makes you feel intimidated just by looking at it from a distance, let alone trying to challenge it. The top players who had planned to take the stage also gave up the idea, and started competing for other arenas. No way. The methods Lin You showed were really weird, not to mention the endless emergence of powerful military units. Even characters like Zhongwu were defeated so mysteriously. Even if they are very confident in their own strength, they are not willing to provoke Lin You easily. After all, there are 100 arenas on the field, so there is no need to fight on the central arena to face such an unpredictable and powerful enemy. So very quickly, the arena where Lin You was standing became a silent place, where no one dared to mess with him, which made the emperors from all sides couldn't help but be surprised. "Brother Long, I didn't know you had such a talented young man over there," a great emperor said in surprise. Unlike others, they saw clearly the battle just now, and they even knew how Zhongwu was defeated. They were naturally very surprised by Lin Yu's endless tricks. "Ha ha, our 10,000 realms continent is vast and rich in resources. It is not surprising that there are a few young people with good talents." The Dragon King smiled lightly without showing much expression, but his eyes were always looking at Lin You on the stage and Qing Tang beside him. A trace of doubt flashed in his eyes, as if he had seen some clues. As for the stands of the anti-alliance camp, Li Ke and others cheered. "Ha ha, I knew brother you could do it," and he really defeated those 3 giants, even to lose to someone of that level. "How far has Lin Yu's strength reached now?" Qi Xing said in great shock. It has only been nearly half a year since Lin You upgraded to the 10th level. Even if there were Godhead fragments and resource support given by Emperor Shenyao when he first upgraded, this is still a bit too exaggerated. Even Emperor Xianyu couldn't help but ask, "Shenyao, to be honest, did you spend all your money to train him?" Dig into the family fortune." Emperor Shenyao looked strange. He didn't seem to have done anything. He just gave the boy a piece of Godhead, 10 upgrade scrolls and a piece of land, and then it became like this. He didn't think that such a small amount of resources could allow a person who had just upgraded to the 10th level for half a year to soar to such an extent. If he could, he would have emptied his fortune a long time ago. And would he worry all day long about the people under him who couldn't do anything? Certainly. Although this was the fact, he continued, I didn't do anything. I just saw that he had good talent, so I gave him some resources, and he turned out to be so successful. Is it just a little resource? Emperor Xianai looked suspicious, obviously not believing what Emperor Xinyao said, but she didn't ask any more questions. After all, everyone has their own secrets. The other side, on top of the center stage, as the person involved, Lin You didn't expect that the response after defeating Zhongwu would be so huge. Not even one person came up to challenge him, but that's fine too. Anyway, there is not much time left before the end of the conference. Bored, he waited in the ring while watching the battles in other rings. After most of the day's competition, the people left in the arena were basically those with strength above 7 fragments of the Godhead. Only a few of them are occupied by weaker people because of their special abilities, but they are also in danger and are being challenged by many powerful enemies. The spectators watching beside them are excited and shouting loudly. Just like this, amid the roaring shouts and fighting, the sun gradually set in the sky, and finally the end of the conference came. Everyone, stop. After hearing Qin He's order from the trial seat, beams of light shot up into the sky and enveloped the entire arena. Those who just wanted to go on stage to continue the challenge were immediately isolated, missed their last chance, and started beating their chests outside. The last person left on the stage was extremely excited, finally grabbing this hard-won precious spot. Lin You counted carefully. Among the 100 arenas, the living world has the largest number of local combatants, accounting for 46 in total. The anti-alliance camp gained a huge advantage due to Emperor Yaohuo's previous reversal, and the firepower he attracted, occupying 35 positions. The remaining 19 are occupied by the Realm Alliance. Although it's not a complete victory, it still managed to overpower the Realm Alliance, and greatly reduced the number of places they received, which is also good news. And what surprised Lin You very much, Lika, who obtained the 6th fragment of the Godhead, actually grabbed a spot. It seemed like his illusion manipulation worked in the end. Just thinking about it, more than a dozen emperors on the trial stand stood up and came to the stage, making everyone on the stage feel tense, and couldn't help but look forward to it. According to the regulations, the last person left on the ring will be qualified to contact the seat of the world. Now I declare that the conference is over, and all those who have obtained quotas will start preparing for the introduction. Following Qin He's loud shout, the light pillars around the world tree suddenly lit up with a dazzling light, illuminating the entire inner city. Regardless of whether they were level 6 or 11, the people on the stage were all wrapped in an invisible force, and slowly rose into the air, flying towards the top of the world tree. Let's go up too. You guys will go to the city first, and wait for my news. Xinyao said something to Ji Xing, and the others beside him, and then he rose into the sky with Emperor Xianai and the others, following Lin You and the others. Once you reach their level, you can truly control some of the rules. The limitations of the living world did not have much impact on them, and they followed the team that took off in the blink of an eye. The people below looked at them with envy. Then they quickly dispersed, mounted their mounts and left one after another, creating an extremely spectacular scene over the entire inner city. Annual Origins Conference. It finally came to a successful conclusion here. Finally, Lin You, who was in the beam of light, took a deep breath and couldn't help but look up at the top of the world tree, which was getting closer and closer, and his heart was filled with anticipation. After traveling and fighting for so long, we were finally going to see the legendary thing, Seed of the World, a magical thing that allows people to gain the power to control the rules. It is also something that the Guardian clan has been guarding for thousands of years. What will it look like? While thinking, the speed of ascent also gradually accelerated, accompanied by the great emperors. All those who had obtained the quota quickly took off into the air and passed over the core urban areas on the trunk of the world tree. Under the watchful eyes of the residents coming and going in the core urban area, they finally arrived at a magnificent group of buildings 10,000 meters above the ground. These buildings are built on the top of the world tree and are supported by a giant suspended magic circle. They almost cover the entire crown of the world tree and can't be seen at a glance. It is simply like a sky city built in the sky. And they are in this city at this time. People were coming and going all around, shouting and shouting constantly. They were all patrolling guards guarding the clan, and the younger generation of the clan who were undergoing combat training. Everyone, I've been waiting for a long time. While everyone was looking around curiously, a middle-aged man with white temples slowly fell from the sky, and came to them with a smile on his face. Judging from his appearance, he is very similar to Qin He, but he is much older. He is the current patriarch of the Guardian clan, Qin Xingshan, and Qin He's biological father. Emperor Xinyao explained to Lin You, and Li Ke in a low voice beside them. When the two heard this, they were secretly shocked. From each other's body, they felt an aura that was not weaker than that of the Dragon King. Under the leadership of the Guardian clan leader Qin Xingshan, everyone quickly entered the Guardian clan, passed through the mansions, and arrived near the center of the floating city. On the way, the emperors from the anti-alliance camp gathered together, and seemed to be discussing something. When Emperor Xinyao came back again, his face was already filled with a smile that couldn't be concealed. Boy, guess what I just got, Xinyao said with a mysterious face. What did you get? Could it be that? Lin Yu was shocked and his breathing became rapid. Great Emperor, could it be a fragment of the Godhead? When the emperors were discussing just now, there were obvious signs of argument, and they looked at their 10th level team from time to time, as if they were thinking about something, so it is very likely that it is a matter of determining the reward. Hey, you got it right, take it, you deserve it. As Xinyao spoke, he used his palms and an irregular crystal of colorful glass appeared in front of Lin Yu, instantly attracting the attention of all the lords nearby. Godhead fragments. Lin Yu was overjoyed. It seems that his performance in the conference today forced the emperors to recognize his contribution. Looking at the colorful crystal so close in front of him, Lin Yu took a deep breath and slowly took it under the envious eyes of everyone around him. Thank you, Emperor. I expressed my gratitude, and then a prompt sounded in my mind. Absorb the fragments of the Godhead. Once absorbed, it cannot be changed, so please decide carefully. Absorb. Lin Yu had a thought in his mind, and directly chose to absorb it. The next second, the crystal in his hand radiated generously, bursting with dazzling brilliance, then flew up and slowly integrated into his body. He just felt a huge force surge into his body, causing all his abilities to skyrocket. The fusion is successful, and the attributes of the Godhead fragments have changed. Please check it yourself. As a prompt sounded, Lin Yu quickly opened his personal interface and took a look. Name, Lin Yu. Lord. Race, human. Occupation, spirit controller. Level 10, 8/10. Strength, 67,512, plus 54,010. Physique, 100,000, plus 96,000. Agility, 67,512, plus 54,010. Spirit, 85,000, plus 68,000. Basic skills, double mutation, power of rules, space shuttle, rule transformation, power of Godhead, all attributes plus 80%. Racial talent, physical fitness plus 16%, recovery speed plus 16%. Introduction. The Lord attribute interface records the specific strength and various skills of the Lord, which can be unlocked by 10th level lords. The fusion of the 8th Godhead fragment directly increased his attributes by 10%. This is just the basics. The increase in Godhead fragments will also increase the power of his skills, equipment effects, and unit attributes. The most important thing is that the range of the original universe has also been increased to 800 kilometers, greatly increasing the distance he can travel through space. Lin Yu calmly looked at the expanded original universe, and found that there were indeed hundreds of new initial galaxies in it. Although they have not yet given birth to life to provide him with faith, their potential is absolutely unlimited. When all the stars in the sky breed advanced civilizations, I can't imagine how much power of faith they will provide him. This gave him a vague feeling. It seems that the universe evolved from the original space should not be something that his level can possess, and it should not even exist in the 10,000 Realms continent by chance. Or is it some kind of necessity? Lin Yu was puzzled, but he really answered that sentence. The stronger you become, the more you discover your ignorance. And just as he was thinking about things, other parts of the team also lit up with colorful lights. There were 4 10th level lords, who, like him, also received fragments of the Godhead rewarded by the emperors. They should all be the ones with the best performance during the period. Rewarding 5 Godhead fragments at one time is really generous. It seems that the emperors really attach great importance to the seeds of these worlds. Brother Yu, congratulations, I got a new piece of Godhead. At this time, Li Ke came over to congratulate him. Lin Yu looked at him and smiled slightly. You also got a piece. That's right, I can't lag too far behind Brother Yu, Li Ke said with a stinking look on his face. Then, the two of them followed the team and chatted about the events of the conference just now, but they didn't notice that the lords and the team of the other border alliance were looking at them with solemn eyes. That monster actually obtained another fragment of his Godhead. My strength was already so abnormal when I had 7 fragments of Godhead, and now I'm afraid it will be even more terrifying. Don't be touched by him on the battlefield, otherwise you will be in trouble. TCH, what's the point? He can win today, but he just didn't meet the really powerful ones. That's right, with such a high profile, the higher-ups will send level 11 to deal with him sooner or later. Several 10th level lords from the Realm Alliance said coldly. Their voices were very low and did not reach Lin You. The 11th level kings, who received the news not far away, looked at Lin You in the distance with burning eyes, with strange smiles on their faces. It seems that a new 11th level is about to be born. One of the kings said lightly. Yes. It's been a long time since a new 11th level has been promoted, and it's of the plant type. I happen to be missing a piece of the plant type's godhead. It sounds like there is no shortage of anyone. During the conversation, several people looked at Lin You again, with a dim light in their eyes, as if they were looking at prey. It seems that there is no immediate plan to eliminate Lin You as a threat, because with the strength Lin You has shown, it is inevitable to rise to the 11th level. They will not let go of such a piece of plant type godhead that is easily available. This is where the rules of this world are cruel. If you observe carefully, you will find that among the 11th level of both camps, you will rarely see 1 or 2 kings with complete godhood. Those who survived had at least 3 pieces of godhead, and each one was very powerful. This is the real reason why many 10th level old kings dare not upgrade to the 11th level and wait until their longevity is over before upgrading, because the moment it rises, you will completely fall into the prey of those veteran 11th level players. Certainly, these have nothing to do with Lin You. For the time being, after all, he still has 2 pieces left to upgrade. Just follow the team and move forward. It took them nearly half an hour to finally reach a huge tree in the center of the floating city that was heavily guarded and surrounded by the aura of life. Rive. After hearing a reminder from Qin Shingshan, who was leading the way, the entire team stopped and looked at the scene in front of them in shock. This tree disc, which is enough to accommodate thousands of people, is actually made of the crown of the world tree and is protected by layers of thick defensive formations. The light of the magic circle soared into the sky and sank straight into the vast void above. It seemed as if any evil thoughts would be suppressed on the spot by this force. In the center of the tree, a tree tooth as tall as half a man grew out, with a bright seed like a worldly treasure floating above it, exuding an extremely rich aura of life. Around the seed, the space was dark and dotted with stars, like a galaxy, constantly circling around the seed. The entire tree cluster forms a world of its own. Seed of the world. The emperors were shocked, and a glimmer of greed suddenly burst out in their eyes. Although it was their first time to see the seed of the world, they could still recognize it at a glance. It was the divine object that allowed them to gain the power to control the rules of the world. But right away, before they could rush forward to snatch it, an old man holding a cane appeared beside Qin Shingshan out of thin air. No, it should be said that the old man was actually there a long time ago. It's just that no one has noticed it, and the whole person seems to be integrated with the heaven and earth. Even the emperor only noticed his presence after the other party released his breath. So strong. The emperors were shocked and immediately extinguished the idea of robbing the world's seeds, because they are sure that if they take action now, they will be suppressed by the old man instantly. This person, it was Qin Lan, the first patriarch of the Guardian clan. He is also recognized as the #1 person in the realm of life. His strength is terrifying and he is already infinitely close to the pinnacle of this world. Even at the level of the Dragon King, he does not dare to make mistakes easily. I've met my ancestors. Qin Shingshan saluted Qin Lan respectfully. Qin Lan raised his hand slightly and looked at everyone present. Since you are all chosen by the world tree, you all have the opportunity to come into contact with the seed of the world. Come in with me. No deterrent words, no warning. Just the aura emanating from his body made everyone afraid to cross the line. They could only follow him through the defensive circle and into the tree clusters. But if you pay attention, you will find it. At this time, there was a person in the anti-alliance camp with an extremely strange expression, looking at the world seed in the center of the tree in astonishment. Is this the seed of the world? The expression on Lin Yu's face was very rich, because he discovered that this so-called seed of the world was very similar to his original universe. It is also surrounded by stars and rivers, and it is also a self-contained space. The only difference is that his little sapling has now grown into a towering tree. But what he sees in front of him is just a seed, and he could feel that there were not many signs of life in the cosmic space around the world seed. It's like a dead realm that's about to come to an end, and it's like a microcosm of the entire living world. Just thinking about it, the team was led by Qin Lan, and came to the seed of the world. Before anyone could react, the world seed floating in the air suddenly erupted into a dazzling radiance of life, enveloping them all. However, when the light of life spread out and touched Lin You, at the back of the team, it suddenly fluctuated violently. Even the world tree itself began to vibrate. Circles of more intense life aura swayed around the world seed, spreading out to the entire living world. What's going on? Why is world tree's reaction so strong this time? Even Qin Lan, who had gone through many vicissitudes of life, was shocked by this sudden change and frowned. People in the entire city of origin raised their heads to look at this miraculous sight, and some even knelt on the ground and worshipped the world tree devoutly. However, the people around the seed of the world were unaware of this vision, because they have been wrapped by a force at this time and brought to a mysterious independent space. Is this the main God's space? In the endless void, everyone looked at the scene in front of them in surprise. Wrapped by the magical power of the world tree, they unexpectedly reappeared in the mysterious space they saw when they first came to this world. There was nothing all around. The only light source is the familiar yet unfamiliar statue of the main god. Think back to the beginning. The world they were in was suddenly destroyed, and all of them were transported into this space, officially starting their careers as lords. Now that I'm revisiting my old place, I can't help but feel a little sad and a little confused. Immediately afterwards, a reminder rang in their minds. Please go to the statue of the main god to receive the blessing. Bless you. Could it be that the world tree personally awarded them the rewards? Everyone in the space was shocked, and they all went to the statue and began to receive blessings from the Lord God. And at this time, Lin You, who was in another space, was completely different from them. He was transported to a courtyard filled with birds and flowers. I've been waiting for you for a long time, young man. An old voice sounded in the courtyard. Lin You, who was looking around, was slightly startled. He immediately looked around and found a low, old tree swaying gently in an open space in the center of the courtyard, as if it suddenly came to life. The aura of that ancient tree was very strange, and it was actually 70–80% similar to the world tree in his original universe. Moreover, the aura of life around it is rich, surrounding it like a substance, attracting flowers, birds and butterflies to dance around it. Looking from a distance, it looks like a peaceful paradise. Are you the world tree? Lin Yu opened his mouth tentatively and approached cautiously. They were at the top of the world tree just now. If they could get him here, it must be the world tree. He was not surprised that the world tree was intelligent. After all, it was the pillar supporting the entire realm, and its life level was much higher than that of ordinary creatures. What surprised him most was the tone of the other party, as if he was waiting for his arrival. As if to respond to his conjecture, the incarnation of World Tree continued. Yes, it's me. From the moment you stepped into the living world, I have already sensed your existence, aware of my presence. Lin Yu was shocked and couldn't help but pause in his steps. Yes, the old voice of World Tree slowly sounded from you. I can sense an aura that has the same origin as mine. Although it is still very weak, it contains a very huge law of life. Young man, I would like to ask you a favor. Help. Lin Yu looked surprised. With your level, you shouldn't need the help of a 10th level lord like me. Right? No. World Tree shook gently. I have very little vitality left. In less than a year, my lifespan will be exhausted and completely dissipated. Why? Isn't the world tree the pillar of the world? Why does it also age? Lin Yu had already guessed that the vitality of the world tree was about to run out, so he was not surprised. What surprised him was that the world tree would age. It stands to reason. As the core of the entire world, the world tree receives the breath of life fed back by trillions of creatures below it every moment, so its lifespan should be close to infinite. But now it said that he didn't have much time left, which made him really confused. Indeed, my lifespan was supposed to be infinite. As if knowing his inner thoughts, the voice of World Tree came again. But tens of thousands of years ago, I could no longer feel the breath of the creator of this world, and the connection was completely cut off. I can only support myself until now by releasing the life force stored in my body. Now, my life is coming to an end. World Tree's words were full of sadness and helplessness. It's like an old man whose life is about to end, sighing at the wasted years. But when these words fell into Lin Yu's ears, they were like a thunder. The creator of this world. Could it be that he is talking about the legendary main god? He always thought the so-called Lord God is actually the incarnation of the will of this world, or a collection of evolved rules of this world. Unexpectedly, his previous guess turned out to be right. This world is really created just like his original universe. Surprised, Lin Yu immediately asked, who is the creator of this world? Is it a human, or a god, or some other existence? And what happened 10,000 years ago? A lot of questions came out of his mouth like a barrage, and he had too many questions in his heart that needed to be answered. Now that I suddenly heard that World Tree might know the inside story of all this, I immediately started asking impatiently. However, to his dismay, faced with his inquiry, World Tree just shook slightly. Unfortunately, I can't answer your questions. I only know that since the connection with the creator was severed tens of thousands of years ago, the rules of this world have been completely out of control. Not only has it attracted some outsiders who do not belong to this world, it will also reincarnate every 10,000 years. At that time, the power of reincarnation will wipe out all living creatures and reproduce again until the world is completely destroyed. Now, We are less than a year away from the next 10,000 years. The rules are out of control. It reincarnates every 10,000 years and wipes out all living things. At this moment, Lin Yu was completely shocked, and his eyes suddenly widened with horror. This was definitely the heaviest news he had heard in a while, even far beyond his imagination, because he knew very well that this world, mentioned by World Tree, was not just the living world, but also included their 10,000 realms continent. Although the world of life is different, but in the final analysis, it is just a relatively special realm in the 10,000 realms continent. If the living world falls into reincarnation, it means that the 10,000 realms continent, cannot escape either. Has this world been abandoned by the Lord God? Or, what happened to this Lord God? Questions kept popping up in Lin Yu's mind, making him look confused. But eventually, all of this still points to the most critical issue. What should I do to stop this reincarnation? Or how to completely get rid of it? Lin Yu took a deep breath and asked this crucial question. In the face of life and death, everything else is just a cloud. When he suddenly heard such bad news, and everyone was about to be wiped out, how could he have the time to pay attention to other things? World Tree seemed to have expected such a reaction from him, and whispered, "This is also the reason why I came here specifically to find you. There is only one way to get rid of reincarnation, and that is that every time reincarnation starts, a road will appear leading to the world where the Creator lives. People also call it the road to heaven. The road to heaven is full of dangers, but as long as you pass there, you can completely escape the influence of the rules of this world. You are the only person who has successfully evolved the rules of the world in the past tens of thousands of years. If you can successfully pass through the road to heaven, I hope you will find the Creator, and find a way to end reincarnation. I don't have much time, and that's all I can say. Before I leave, I'll help you one last time." As he spoke, without giving Lin Yu a chance to react, a seed shining with the breath of life flew out from the tree and turned into a stream of light and integrated into his body. Lin Yu felt a shock all over his body, and a reminder sounded in his mind. "Congratulations! You have obtained the essence of the world's seeds, and your original space has changed. Learn new skills. Law of time, active. Law of time, active. Control the power of time. When activated, a time domain is formed within 1 meter around the body. The flow rate of time can be changed at will. 10% of the power of the rules is consumed per second. It is not affected by skills other than the law of time. The effect increases with the original space. Time multiplier, 1 times. Upon hearing the prompt, Lin Yu calmed down immediately. Is this skill the legendary power that transcends the rules of the world? Manipulate time. The same effect as the time fairy. Isn't this the power that the guy with the heart used when he was at the top of the ladder? Not being affected by skills other than this skill. Doesn't that mean that even the Emperor level can't break this skill? This is too powerful, and the effect will be improved along with the original space. After his original space multiplies to a certain extent, wouldn't it be able to expand to 10 meters, 100 meters or even 1000 meters? There is also a time multiplier. If it can be increased to more than 10 times, it will be a magical skill. The only flaw is that the consumption is too huge, requiring 10% of the rule power every second. In other words, it can only last for 10 seconds. Even if various recovery methods are included, it can only increase by 1 or 2 seconds. It seems that this skill can only be used to its fullest effect after the original space has multiplied and grown. Just thinking about it, an invisible force enveloped him and sent him out of this independent space. And because the world tree instilled power into Lin Yu, it began to wither faster and became older, but the aura on its body is stronger than ever, because the seed of hope has been planted, and when it blossoms and bears fruit, the meaning of its existence in this world will also be realized. Go, young man, to the broader sky. At the last moment before Lin Yu teleported away, a stream of light appeared again, bringing a huge flow of information into his mind. Then the screen flashed around, and he returned to the treetop where the seed of the world was, surrounded by lords and natives of the living world, who had just been teleported like him. Everyone looked happy, obviously having gained a lot in the space. The great emperors had thoughtful expressions on their faces, as if they were comprehending something, but Lin Yu didn't have the intention to care about this, because at this time, he was already immersed in the last message, left to him by the world tree. Finally, he had a deeper understanding of this world of life, and even what happened thousands of years ago, and his face gradually became filled with expressions of shock. The world tree left Lin Yu little information, but it was extremely important to him. It also allowed him to learn some of the secrets behind this world. It was the same as he had guessed before. The cycle of life and death does not talk about 3 independent realms, but 3 stages of the world of life. The living world is the first stage. When the world tree completely withers, the entire living world will lose its support and begin to be shrouded in death. All people who are contaminated with the energy of death will mutate into monsters and be completely reduced to a world of death. After that, the realm began to die. The collapse of the death realm will cause the huge death energy to instantly spread throughout the 10,000 realms continent, wiping out all living beings including the 12th level, and seizing the last chance of life. Then with this vitality, the lower universe will be repopulated again, until the next batch of new lords comes, forming an infinite cycle. In other words, when the world of reincarnation appears, it is the time when the end is sung. No one is immune. The huge energy generated by the fusion of all realms is the switch of this reincarnation. Once the integration of the world is completed, the space channel between them and the living world will be completely opened, and the death energy will flow in. At that time, even the emperor level experts will have no way to save themselves and can only watch the destruction coming. The only exception was 10,000 years ago. At that time, the 10,000 realms continent was supposed to undergo a reincarnation and wipe out all living beings. But due to a sudden and shocking battle, the monster plane appeared, blocking the integration of all realms. The energy released from that battle also unexpectedly replenished part of the vitality of the world tree, temporarily interrupting the start of reincarnation. And this interruption lasted for thousands of years. Now that the power of the rules has gradually been restored, the life of the world tree is coming to an end, and a new reincarnation is finally coming. But what puzzled Lin You the most was the origin of that battle. If he guessed correctly, the two parties in the battle should be the terrifying existence suppressed under the monster plane, and the master of the 72 demons. One battle can actually change the rules of the entire world, and even prevent the integration of all worlds. How powerful can it be? And who are they and what are they fighting for? Are you fighting for something? The more he knew, the more doubts Lin You had in his heart. He also felt that the world was becoming more and more mysterious. There seemed to be many things behind it that he didn't know. It always felt like it was not as simple as he thought. It's like there is a pair of invisible hands controlling everything. If he wants to break free, he can only continue to improve his strength. There is no other way to choose. It seems that we have to hurry up and collect the last two fragments of the Godhead after we return. Lin You thought silently, but I don't know. At this time, Qin Lan, the ancestor of the Guardian clan, who was sitting next to the seat of the world, was using his huge senses to explore the people who were teleported out on the stage, looking for that aura. Ancestor, have you found that person? Qin Shengshan on the side couldn't help but ask. No. Qin Lan shook his head, his expression showing helplessness. The level of that power is no lower than that of the world tree. If it doesn't take the initiative to reveal itself, even I won't be able to sense it. Even the ancestor can't sense it. Qin Shengshan was really shocked now. He was very aware of the strength of his ancestor, and he was already halfway to the legendary level. Even if there is no way to detect it, how high is the level of that power? Are there really people among these people who have mastered this level of power? Forget it. If you can't find it, you can't find it. This may be our destiny to protect the clan. Qin Lan sighed and silently withdrew his perception. And at this time, all the people who entered the independent space to receive blessings were finally teleported out, making the treetop become lively again. Haha, I just got a rare soldier token. What's a rare token? I got a territory upgrade scroll that can be upgraded to 8 levels. I'm almost the same. It gave me enough faith to advance directly to the next level. It can be seen that each of them has gained a lot in the independent space. Some 10th level kings even obtained a fragment of the Godhead, and their faces turned red with excitement. This trip to the living world, sure enough, it was not in vain. The only difference is the emperors. I don't know what they obtained in the space, but all of them looked solemn, as if they were thinking about something. Some even frowned, gathered together with worried expressions, and chatted in low voices. Vaguely, Lin You could also hear words such as reincarnation and road to heaven. Obviously, the emperors have also received news about this. Some of the more senior people had expressions as if they had known this for a long time. Even the always rough and heroic Emperor Xingyao had a serious look on his face at this time. He was discussing matters with Xianyu and other primitive emperors, and looked at them from time to time. Anyone can feel the solemn atmosphere. You guys had a great time chatting. Suddenly, a gloomy voice sounded from the crowd. Everyone who was discussing was startled and looked in the direction of the sound. Behind the Realm Alliance team, a young king suddenly had a lot of evil energy emerging from his body. The originally unremarkable appearance was distorted and changed into another appearance. It's him. Lin You was shocked. The figure shrouded in evil aura was suddenly the dark-eyed young man who had disappeared for a long time, Feng Yan. He actually changes his appearance and breath through the power of his heart, and has been hiding in the team. The expressions of the emperors from the anti-alliance camp darkened. It's the heart, deal with it. They had already expected that this guy would appear here, and were always on guard. Amid the loud shouts, a terrifying aura suddenly broke out and poured out towards Feng Yan. Quack, quack, you just want to hinder me. You're so naive. A wild laugh like a drake sounded behind Feng Yan. I saw the power of his heart surging crazily, turning into boundless, evil energy and condensing into a huge skeleton on top of his head. The light in his eye sockets bloomed, directly defeating the offensive of the emperors. It actually uses the heart as a medium to project power into this realm. The emperor from the Realm Alliance side instantly appeared around him, and stopped the emperor from the anti-alliance side. Seed of the world, I finally found you. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the skull directly rose into the air, and a strong evil spirit erupted, rushing towards the location of the seed of the world, trying to take it away directly. Those who run wild on the territory of our guardian clan are seeking death. At this moment, an angry shout sounded. Qinlan, who was sitting next to the seed of the world, suddenly stood up, stretched out his arm, and a twisted space appeared in front of the skull, swallowing up all his evil energy. The Dragon King and others followed closely and surrounded them. Then huge waves of energy soared into the sky, forming a blockade formation on the tree plate, covering the skull and the Emperor of the Realm Alliance. No, it's blocked by rules. Get out quickly. The expression of the Emperor of the Realm Alliance changed. He obviously did not expect that the Dragon Emperor and the others had already prepared and arranged a means to target them and immediately dodge outside. But the next second, all the rules in the entire formation were pulled away, depriving them of their connection to the power of the rules. Several of the emperors were even hit by the attack, vomiting blood and flying backwards. You want to trap me with this little trick? Unexpectedly, the skull suddenly laughed, and the evil energy surged from its body. The shadows of its heart and torso appeared at the same time, turning into a stream of light and hitting the edge of the formation. Boom! A deafening explosion set off a violent wind at the top of the entire world tree, flying everyone below the 11th level away. The blockade formation constructed by dozens of great emperors also broke apart at the sound, turning into fragments and dispersing in the air. Before they could pursue them, motion had already led the people from the Realm Alliance out of the formation. This is just a meeting gift. Let us live a little longer. The sound gradually faded away and gradually disappeared into the vast void. There was no intention of fighting at all. But think about it, now the power of the world seed is almost exhausted. Even if the robbery fails, it will self-destruct in a short time, so there is no need to fight hard. Instead, they implemented their usual style of conduct. Fortunately, the anti-alliance side was well prepared and prevented them from succeeding, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. It seems that they can't wait to open the road to heaven in advance. One of the great emperors whispered, "Do these guys really don't care about the lives of the people below them? It's not your first day dealing with them, and you still don't know that they can do anything to achieve their goals. Indeed, in order to gain greater power for themselves, they have lost their last bottom line. If the seed of the world is lost, the living world will be destroyed in advance. This is what they least want to see. They must find a way to prevent reincarnation from starting within this year. Otherwise, even if the road to heaven appears, they won't have much confidence that they can successfully pass it. After all, many people become emperors only after a few hundred or even 1,000 years, and their strength is not strong enough. It's a pity that I couldn't get the recognition of the seed of the world," a great emperor said regretfully. If they can gain recognition from the seed of the world and understand the legendary power, then their chances of surviving on the road to heaven will be greatly increased. And they don't directly grab it like the Realm Alliance does. After all, the strength of Qinlan and the Guardian clan is there. Since you have all received the blessing, you can all leave. What just happened obviously made Qinlan a little unhappy, and he immediately issued an eviction order. Originally, these quotas should belong to their biological world, but they could not ignore the pressure from the great emperor of all realms, and in the end they could only compete for places in a conference. Now the dust has settled. He doesn't have anything good to show for it. As soon as he raised his hand, the defensive array around the seed of the world lit up again, forcing the emperors to leave. The lords who were shaken away by the aftermath also recovered from their fear and stood up to catch up with them. Lin You followed the team and soon came to Emperor Xinyao. Prepare to set off immediately and rush back to the principality. After being away for such a long time, I don't know how the principality is developing. It's time to go back. The lords who enter the living world to fight for the seed of the world go as quickly as they come. Originally, the great emperors wanted to gain transcendent power through the seed of the world, but the news that the world tree was exhausted and reincarnation was about to begin made them feel like they had been struck by lightning. They no longer wanted to stay in the living world, and they all rushed towards the Wanji continent. Went back, the legend of the road to heaven. In the beginning, only a few senior emperors knew a little bit about it, not to mention the newly promoted emperors. They have only heard a few words, at most, and cannot tell the truth from the lies. But now, the news was finally confirmed, which made them shocked and extremely excited at the same time. The road to heaven opens, leading to a higher level world. This is undoubtedly very exciting for them who have spent a long time standing at the pinnacle of the continent. Just like what the great emperors of the Realm Alliance said, they have been bound by the rules of this world for so long that they can hardly remember how long they have lived. Now that I suddenly heard this news, many people were naturally yearning for it. Certainly, there are also some conservatives who do not have such a fighting spirit. These people's ideas are simple. Since you can be an emperor respected by everyone in this world, why risk your life to start over in an unfamiliar world? And it's not necessarily the beautiful world they imagined. I would rather make a chicken head than a phoenix tail. It can only be said that everyone has his own ambitions. But one thing is certain, whether they are conservatives or radicals, they all have a common goal. That is to find a way to stop reincarnation. Because once the 10,000 Realms continent is destroyed, they will definitely suffer backlash unless they can successfully cross the road to heaven and completely get rid of the rules of this world. Otherwise, preventing reincarnation will be their top priority. After all, no one can guarantee that they will succeed. If they are unable to enter the road to heaven and the 10,000 Realms continent faces destruction, no matter how powerful they are, they will be unable to recover. This can be regarded as leaving a way out for yourself. After returning this time, we have to speed up our march. In the void, the Dragon King said to the emperors, who were traveling together with him, "Indeed, those guys from the Realm Alliance have gone crazy, trying to enter the road to heaven. This hidden danger must be solved, and getting rid of them will also be beneficial to our strength." That's right. As soon as they heard about improving their strength, the emperor's eyes flashed, and they finally had a rare unified opinion. And since they can think of this, the Realm Alliance can naturally think of it too. After returning this time, I'm afraid there will be another bloody storm. The other side. After leaving the top of the world tree, Lin You quickly arrived at the canopy closest to the city of origin, led by Emperor Xinyao and Emperor Xianyu. Let's go. The space in the living world has begun to become a little unstable. Let's leave here first. The leader, Emperor Xinyao, whispered, taking the lead and disappearing through the sky. Before leaving, Lin You couldn't help but look back at the old tree with a complicated expression. What does he want to do? But his strength is still too weak. Then, he looked in another direction. Now most of the lords have started to rush back, while the remaining ones are staying in the living world, and continuing to look for their relatives. I don't know what the situation is like over there with Yanlai, and whether he has found his sister. Although he wanted to help, he still had important things to do. So after hesitating for a moment, he followed the emperor through the sky. Boom! The terrifying pressure appeared again, pressing towards him from all directions. When Lin You regained his sight, he had already reached the top of the ladder that he had been away from for a long time. However, his strength at this time has been greatly improved. The pressure that he could hardly breathe before, and which he could barely withstand at full blast, no longer had much of an impact on him. I scanned the stairs at the bottom from a high position, and found that many lords were still working tirelessly to climb the ladder, or compete for the treasures that were refreshed from time to time. There was no stopping. Under the surprised eyes of those lords, they walked down the ladder to the grassland below with Lika Jixing and others. After saying goodbye to each other, the teleportation was started directly and returned to the Xinyu Principality. Aha! Teleportation light rose into the sky in the palace. After being out for the past few days, Lin Yu finally returned to the familiar territory smoothly. However, not long after he stood still, there was a sudden rush of footsteps in the distance. Shua Changui hurried in from outside with a team of guards, looking anxious. "Your Majesty, you are finally back, but you made me anxious to death. What's wrong?" Seeing Shua Changui's anxious look, Lin Yu immediately walked out of the territory in confusion. "I've been out to do some errands these days. Did something happen in the principality?" "Something big happened," Shua Changui said hurriedly. "During your absence, Your Majesty, the Principality of Manhwa suddenly occupied several cities along the Jiuku River in the south, saying that it was originally their territory. Several 9th-level lords in the Principality rushed over to coordinate, but they were all blocked by King Manhwa. "Occupying my land." Lin Yu frowned slightly. The Principality of Manhwa is located at the southern end of the Principality of Xinyu, bordering Xinyu and Dawang. The Jiuku River happens to be the junction between the two countries. Because of the developed water conservancy, there are many cities along the coast that have reached level 8 or above. The daily tax and faith provided every day are among the best in the Principality. Lin Yu originally planned to train a few trustworthy 8th-level lords to take care of it in the future, but unexpectedly, the Manhwa Principality took over directly while he was away. It seems that he has been keeping a low profile, and some people are starting to ignore him. "You go down first, I will handle this matter." As he said that, he disappeared in a flash. After returning to Wanji continent, the space shuttle ability can be used. With his current strength of 8 godhead fragments, he can cross a distance of up to 800 kilometers at a time. It is still very easy to reach the border of the principality, and just as he was rushing to the south of the principality, in the palace of the capital of the principality of Manhwa, a guest happened to be welcomed. "Hey, Lao Zhou, why are you visiting my place today, when you have time?" King Manhwa, who was listening to someone's report in the courtyard, looked at the other king, who appeared in front of him in surprise. "It's nothing, I just came back from the living world, and was going to do some things in the Xinyao Empire. I happened to pass by you, so I stopped by to take a look." The king known as Lao Zhou came to the table with a smile and sat down. "You just came back from the living world?" Manhwa became even more surprised. He immediately reached out and waved away the servant next to him, and sat up slightly. To know, he tried his best before, but he only climbed to about 950 floors of the ladder, and couldn't even enter the gate of the living world. Now that I heard the news about the living world, I naturally became more energetic. "Yeah, I went there for a walk." Lao Zhou laughed twice, picked up the tea and drank it, his expression a little bitter. After the tea was finished, he continued, "You don't know how many strong men will appear in the living world, this time to fight for the seed of the world. There were 100 places, but I was knocked down within a few minutes of being admitted. The competition was too fierce." Obviously, he has also experienced competition for places in the Origin Conference. However, he did not grab a spot, but was brushed off early. "You didn't even get a spot?" Manhwa asked in shock. He is very aware of Lao Zhao's strength. He has 7 fragments of his godhead, and his own attributes have been strengthened to a very high level. Even this way, there is no way to compete for the 1% spot. You can imagine how fierce the competition is. "What about our realm? Has anyone else got a spot?" he asked immediately. "Our realm?" Lao Zhou was stunned for a moment, and then his eyes immediately became intense. "Of course, you don't know that there is a ruthless person in our realm, who directly suppresses the top experts from the Realm Alliance and the living world. He can't even force people as high as the Mountain King of the Eternal Realm. He tried his best. Hiss, so strong. Even Zenshan King was defeated." Nanhua's eyes suddenly widened. He has heard of the title of King of Zenshan, and he can be ranked high in the Eternal World. Even if he encountered it on the battlefield, he would have to walk around it. A strong man of this level didn't even force the opponent to use his full strength. How can this be? When did such a powerful king appear in the primitive world? Why had he never heard of it? "You didn't expect it, did you? That's why I went all the way to the Xinyao Empire," Old Joe said with a proud smile. As early as on the way back, he had already found out the identity of that monster-level figure. When he learned that the other party was actually near his principality, he hurriedly set off, preparing to go there to establish a relationship and become familiar with him. After all, that is an existence that may upgrade to the 11th level and establish a kingdom at any time. When will it be better not to fawn over now? However, he didn't notice. After hearing his words, Manhwa on the side was shocked, and his expression became suspicious. "Xinyao Empire? Did you just say Xinyao Empire?" His voice was obviously trembling, and a bad premonition emerged in his heart. "Yes, it's the Xinyao Empire. Is there any problem?" Lao Zhou asked doubtfully. "The person you were talking about couldn't be the king of the Xinyu Principality, under the Xinyao Empire, right?" Manhwa swallowed and stared at Lao Zhou nervously, and the next second, something came out of Lao Zhao's mouth that shocked him. "Yes, it's the Xinyu Principality, the recently promoted king." "Strange, how do you know?" "How could I know? I wish I had known earlier." Hearing Lao Zhao's answer, Nanhua's face turned green. Just at this moment, a private message suddenly popped up in front of him. "Your Majesty, the king of Xinyu Principality has arrived in Jiuku City, and said he wants to see you." Plop. Manhwa slipped down from the chair, his eyes widened.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.